Alright. So where do I begin?
Life can be hard, so hard, so hard. It's no bed of roses, but hold on to God. There is beauty in your scars. It's no bed of roses, but hold on to God.
So I'm someone who works a lot. I think I was bitten with the ambition bug, you know. I remember seeing sometime in a testimony from Travis Green talking about he was addicted to ambition, and that was me. That kind of took its toll on me because as much as that is good, you have to find balance. I would have been running my body down for like 20 hours a day, literally 4 hours of sleep, sometimes less. And with that routine that I kept on doing, my immune system was almost non-existent. Like, it wasn't working. Any sickness that passed, my immune system would be like, the flu? Sign me up. What? Stomach bug? Sign me up. Anything that passed, sign me up. My immune system wanted it. For 3 weeks I was sick. I remember the first week I got a stomach flu. The week after that, I came home late one night and see pizza in the kitchen. I helped myself. I really helped myself. I overhelped myself. The next morning I realized the pizza had mushrooms in it. I am very allergic to mushrooms. If I eat mushrooms, my tonsils will swell up and there's a lot of mucus on my chest and stuff. So that happened the second week. Third week now, I went to the river with this mucus on my chest and developed pneumonia, which is basically like a lung infection. I had a lung infection years ago and I know it would last about a week for the most. This one was going on very long. So I went to the hospital on 3 occasions. I went to Mount Hope first, then I went to Arima. I went to Arima twice. Then I went to Sangre Grande. I really couldn't take it anymore because I thought I was getting better with the medication and it was just too much pain. And it so happened on that drive to Sangre Grande, I pulled out my phone. I wasn't driving, my girlfriend was driving, and there's this app on my phone that gives daily Bible text. I'll be honest, I don't use it often, but for some reason I checked it that day, and the text for that day was Joshua 1:9, which says, "Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. Do not be afraid, do not be dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest." I just memorized the text. When I got to Sangre Grande and we did all the x-rays and everything, when the x-ray came back, the doctor compared it to my x-ray from the Arima hospital, and she noticed that my heart looked twice as big. I was speechless. Why is something going on with my heart now? She called in 2 other doctors and the doctor was like, "Whoa." And I was like, don't be saying whoa when you're looking at my heart. When you're looking at my heart, I want you to say, yes, this is excellent. Don't be saying whoa. Anyway, they noticed that there was fluid around my heart. And on top of that, there was fluid in my lungs. I went to the hospital because of a lung infection, and now I have fluid in my lungs and fluid around my heart. What is going on? Anyway, they said they had to transfer me to Mount Hope Hospital because they don't do anything with like your heart and stuff in Sangre Grande Hospital. So the next morning, I was transferred to Mount Hope Hospital. When I was introduced to my doctors in the Mount Hope Hospital, they explained to me that my surgery will be the next day, but there is a possibility I might have to do emergency surgery if my situation worsened throughout the night, because the initial surgery would be like simply just sticking in a needle through my chest and draining the fluid. But if the situation worsens, they'll have to cut open my chest. Nobody don't want that. So we were just praying that I made it through the night to do this more simple procedure. They also explained that I couldn't eat or drink anything, not even water, because if you do that, there's a possibility you could die in your surgery. Die. So now I'm at risk of dying. You know, I came in for a lung infection. Anyway, the moment he said that, my lips got immediately, like, my lip got real dry. I started to feel like the only thing I needed at that point was water. And the last time I ate would have been 10 a.m. that morning. I'm hungry, thirsty, so it's like, Lord, I need you to get me through this one. They had me there in the emergency room, and it's a very uncomfortable place because you are literally in the traffic of the hospital. Any new patients coming in, they're coming in there. Any emergency cases coming in there. And I'm lying down on a bed in that area. So I have fluid around my heart, I have fluid in my lungs, and I also have a lung infection. I cannot drink water, my breathing is getting shorter, and there's 15 hours until my surgery. It was a very uncomfortable situation. I was trying my best to sleep, to just sleep and let the time pass, but people keep waking me up with just the foot traffic, noise, the talking. I was just counting down the hours. It reached that point that I just said, God, help me to get rest. Just help me to get rest. And this was one moment that I will never forget for the rest of my life. While lying down on that bed in that casualty area, I heard a voice tell me, come, let's take a walk. And listen to me. I immediately closed my eyes and I was walking and talking with God. It was such a surreal experience, but it was definitely real. And God was basically telling me, this moment here is a defining moment in your life. Whether you will choose to fully serve me in spirit and in truth or not. Because God knows me. God knows that as much as I claim to be a Christian, there are things about me that are contrary to that. You know? If you're a Christian, you're supposed to be spending time in the Word. You're supposed to be talking to God, spending time in prayer. My prayer life it wasn't non-existent, but I used to have a lot of excuses because of my ambition. So it's like, yeah, I'm doing these things for God, but I'm so busy with doing things for God that I'm not having time for God. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, Lord, I'm too busy for you right now because I'm working for you. And how could that be? You know, how could we claim to be Christians and not really delve into the true essence of what Christianity is, which is tapping into the source? As I had that conversation with God, it was just a moment and I'll never forget, and all I remember is just being asleep after that. I got about a little over 2 hours of sleep, which is a big improvement from the 5 minutes at a time that I was getting before. And that's how the night went. I was getting an hour at a time, until I started to see the sun rising, and it was like, yo, thank you, Lord. I made it through the night. No one has to cut open my chest, so I could now go in and do the regular surgery that I initially planned to do. It's time for the surgery. I messaged my family, let them know guys are going in. All I could remember saying is Joshua 1:9, Joshua 1:9. Be strong and have a good courage. The Lord is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. I reached into the room now and I saw the operating team. Listen, it is a very nerve-wracking thing to see a group of doctors all under their 40s. All of them were looking like in their early 30s. I even questioned the surgeon. I was like, how much times you do this way? He said, you don't worry yourself now, man. This is a simple procedure. I do this plenty times. You don't worry yourself. And he had a little laugh, you know, like he understand I was nervous. He understand he looking young. Time for the surgery to begin. Now, having fluid around your heart, you know, your heart has a sac around it. So that sac that's around the heart was filled with water. So my heart was like in a water balloon. I'm sitting down there, they numb the area and then they push in the needle. I didn't really feel the needle enter my chest. When I saw the needle now going to pierce the I'm probably very knowledgeable in heart surgery now because the sac around it is called the pericardium, I believe, right? If I'm wrong, allow me now, doctor. When they reached to the point of the pericardium to penetrate it, and like the needle went into it, that was a shock, boy. That hurt. And then they started to drain the fluid. I was shocked to see how much fluid was around my heart. They drained about 700 milliliters of fluid from my heart. 700 milliliters is about a regular bottle of water and a half. While they were there and draining, I was just feeling God's presence in the room. And I was just remembering Joshua 1:9 and God saying, be strong and have a good courage. I am with you. It was a really comforting experience. When the surgery was finished now, messaged my family and the pain medication just knocked me out. When I woke up, they told me I have to go and do a CT scan to ensure that you know, all the fluid was drained. Now the next day I'm heading to Couva Hospital to do a CT scan. That was a whole scene by itself. When I came back from doing this CT scan, I'm still in the emergency room because they have to monitor me there before they could ward me. While I'm lying there, I could see the doctors looking at my CT scan, and while they're looking at it, their reaction to it was kind of unsettling, like scratching their head. I could immediately tell something was wrong. The next morning they came to explain that, Mr. Pierre, unfortunately we are seeing more fluid around your heart. We will have to repeat the drainage surgery again, and this time we'll have to leave a tube in your chest to drain whatever new fluid might develop. That was some extremely depressing news, you know? But Joshua 1:9, be strong and have a good courage. The Lord is with you wherever you go. God knows why he gave me that text, you know. Second procedure now, this surgery took so much longer than the first one, and it was a lot more painful. It was a different surgeon this time, and he was being extremely thorough. Like, they didn't want to have to repeat the surgery again. I'm lying down there in pain, but I can still remember the text, Joshua 1:9, Joshua 1:9. And I'm just feeling God's presence next to me and calming me, and I was like, thank you, Lord, we'll make it through this. Until there was one point where the pain was excruciating, very excruciating. So I started to make noise, not like ball down the place, but duck. It hurting now. Yeah, in my heart a little while now, you know. By the way, I'm not sleeping during these things, as you can realize. I'm up. So he stitched it back up, whatever, and now I'm being wheeled out, not to the emergency room this time, but to a ward. And I have this tube coming from my chest here into a bag. That wasn't good. Now, as I was put on the ward, remember I have fluid in my lungs on top of the lung infection. And having fluid in your lungs, if anybody ever experienced that, it makes you cough a lot. And in this whole COVID-19 world that we live in, coughing is extremely frowned upon. Some nurses understood because I'm in the cardiac ward, like I'm here for my heart. But some nurses were not taking any chances. I was almost feeling scorned, you know. I can't really blame them because they'd have to take precaution, but I mean, some nurses really need to learn some people's skills so much. One nurse just came and just fling a N95 mask on my bed and say, yo, you need to wear that right and keep it on. Before you know it, I'm being wheeled from the general ward into an isolation room on the same ward. What they call it, a barrier ward or something like that. So now I'm in my own personal room. I started to feel very scorned, I wouldn't lie, but very soon after that feeling, I was like, this is a blessing in disguise. I have my own room, I have my own toilet, I have my own shower, I have my window there to look outside, I have my fan, I have my table, I have my own space now. I don't want this to sound like a bashing thing. There were some really, really amazing nurses. Every time they came around, they would lift my spirits by just talking and laughing, and it used to be my highlight for the day. Big up all the nurses them. So anyway, I spent the next couple days, well, the next week and some days recovering at Mount Hope in the ward. The routine is every morning the doctors will come and check on the patients. So every morning when they come in to check on me, I will be asking, you know, how things looking, what are the results, what are the findings, and they'll say, we're still not sure yet, but we're trying to find the cause of why the fluid building back up and all these things. And every day it was the same thing, they're not sure, and it's just the unsurety of why something is going on in your body is very nerve-wracking. But Joshua 1:9, be strong and have a good courage, for the Lord is with you wherever you go. It was really depressing just being in the hospital and you're not sure when you're coming out, you know, like you don't have a countdown date. You're just there and every day hoping to hear what day is going to be a final day. I started to miss everybody. I was missing every single person because it was weeks I haven't seen anybody other than my family members. And in the hospital it was so bad that you can't even have a group of people come and visit you. It's one person a day. So I had to choose between my family members who could see me today, who can't see me. It wasn't a good situation. I can't count how many times I'll break down crying, you know. Some people will send me some encouraging messages, break down. Some people would try to video call. As soon as they call over, break down because everybody looking out for your best interest and everybody wishing the best. But I have no good news to tell them because I'm feeling terrible in this hospital. The doctor's not sure what's going on. God told me He's going to heal me. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. And I had many crying nights. I remember this one night in particular, I cried out to God, boy. I woke up like 2 in the morning and I cried out to God. I was like, God, I need you to heal me. I need you to forgive me for my sins, I realized how much I neglected prayer, how much I neglected Bible study, how many times I used the excuse of ambition and chasing after success that I would have lost sight of the true meaning of this Christian life. Many people might be shocked to realize that you can get distracted serving God that you actually forget to serve God. I was crying because I also understood how undeserving I was of healing. I don't deserve God's grace and mercy. I didn't deserve that. Because many times I would have been neglecting the Bible study. I would have good days, don't get me wrong. But I was not being a consistent Bible reader. I was not being a consistent praying Christian. For the most part, my pattern would be work, and squeeze in my Jesus, I understood I was undeserving of healing. And if God chose to end my life there, He would have had all right to do so. Because I was not living life as He would have wanted me to. In that moment, I finally understood what was meant in the Bible when they said, and men cried out to God, because I truly cried out to God. I put it all on the table. I was crying like tears. Literally, as the sun rose and the doctors came in, his first words were, hey Bj'orn boy, we're going to take out that tube and we're trying to get you out of here by the end of the week. I was in complete shock because first of all, every day you're coming in with grim news, and this one day just bumps in right after I was crying, praying to God to tell me that you want to get me out. So now I have my date. I have my countdown date, Friday. But there's only one problem now. I am still feeling weak. I'm still in pain. I'm still feeling the same way I felt when I just came in. I'm glad that I could come out, but I want to come out better than I came in, I don't want to go back home and still be sick. Then what would be the point of all this hospital drama, I said, God knows best, and as much as I can't see it, I believe God has a plan. So they began to remove the tube. I think that was just as painful or more painful than the surgery itself. Because with this tube in my chest, there's a line or something they put in the tube that creates a suction to the heart. So if you don't cut that line, the suction would still remain. They came in and just started to pull. Now imagine someone tying a rope around your heart and doing this. Listen, I have never made more noise to complete strangers in my entire life than I did that day. I couldn't take the pain. It was very bad. It reached a point where I was like, Doc, if you all don't know what you're doing, please call somebody. I didn't say that calm. I was in pain. They got a little loud up. So they stopped. They came back about 30 minutes later and realized they had to cut the cord and finally took out the tube. So now the tube is out. This is one great sign of freedom. I don't have to walk around holding this bag anymore. Over the next couple days, I started to actually feel the healing that I was praying for. Friday now, I finally heard the words, Bj'orn, you are officially discharged. You can call whoever to come pick you up. I make that call one time. Call my father one time, say, Pops, I discharged. He came down and we were waiting on a wheelchair because as much as I'm getting healing and discharged, I'm still weak, still in pain, right? We sat and waited for a wheelchair for a while. I was just so ready to come out of there. I take my weak self and say, yo, let me walk. I walked so slow out of the hospital, but I was just so glad to be walking out of the hospital, My heart beating fast because I'm tired. I left the hospital and I went by my aunt to recover. My aunt is a dietitian and she's a past nurse and whatever, so, in good hands. While there, my whole routine was diet, exercise, devotion, and rest. Every day, diet, exercise, devotion, and rest. This healing that I have here now, I didn't deserve it. There's nothing that I have done, am doing, or will do that will be justifiable to say that Yes, this is why God should heal me. I remember seeing Alvita share this sometime, and the post said, God's grace is getting what you don't deserve, and God's mercy is not getting what you deserve. Now let that sink in a bit. God's grace is getting what you don't deserve, and God's mercy is not getting what you deserve. We should be dead by now, because we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. It is amazing to know that God still loves me. God still wants me to get it right. And I think it's time we get it right. Too often we play around with God's favor. We play around with God's grace and God's mercy. Now listen, God could choose to give us grace and mercy. He doesn't have to. And that's what makes God God. I don't know who is listening to this right now. I just want to let you know, there is a God. I'm telling you, what I went through, there is a God. He loves you and He cares for you. And if you open up your heart and talk to Him in faith, He will answer your prayers. And as God has healed me, I'm not sure what you might be going through, but cry out to Him and God will heal you. God will deliver you. Just let God into your life and see what He could do for you. And whatever you're facing right now, give it to Him. He will sort it out. Trust me.
Life can be hard, so hard, so hard. It's no bed of roses, but hold on to God. There is beauty in your scars. It's no bed of roses, but hold on to God. Your foundation steady and not shaking. You bent but not breaking.